What's up, guys? It's the next Mike Ike, and I'm coming back at you with another Warhammer 40k Tacticus video. And in today's video, we are going to continue with our Season Arena Report series. So this is going to be the Arena Report for Season 6. Yes, it's coming out a day late, before we get into this, I want to address that. I know I haven't uploaded videos in a couple of days, but it was for a good reason, and that reason is because I was waiting on this microphone that I'm using right now. So hopefully the sound quality is better than my videos have been in the past. And a good thing about this is now I can attach this microphone to my iPhone, and that means we can record on my main more often, which is going to be really nice because I have a lot of videos that I've been wanting to record but just haven't been able to because it needs my main account to do so, and I just did not like how the audio came out just using the regular iPhone. So anyway, I have this mic. We're going to see the main account more often. If this sounds better than my normal videos, guys, just let me know. With my test, it sounds amazing, so I just want to make sure that's coming across to you guys. And with that said, let's get into the Season 6 Arena Report. So, as always, with this Arena Report, we're going to go over the top 10 characters used throughout the week. Again, if this is your first time watching one of these videos, basically what I do is look at the top 25 teams throughout the week. I grab a couple data points, I look at them a couple times during the week, and I come up with what is the top 10 most used characters. And we're going to keep track of, last week and this week and see who's moved up, who's moved down, and all of that nonsense. And then also, if a new character has come up on the list, we will dive deep into that character and why it's being used, or at least why I think it's being used. Now, we won't do a deep dive in every character in the top 10, guys, just new characters. So if you want a deep dive on some of these characters, maybe check out the previous episodes, and that's when I will go into in-depth on those characters. So really, the first season, which I believe was Season 4 Arena Report, has most of the deep dives on these characters because the character list hasn't changed all that much. So with that, let's talk about characters that dropped out of the top 10, because we did have one, and the only one that we had drop out of the top 10 was Volk. And Volk was sitting at 10th anyway, or tied for 9th with 4 uses last week, but he ended up dropping out of the top 10. So with that, let's get into the top 10 for this week. So let's get the characters. Okay, here we go. All right, coming in at tied for 9th with 3 uses is Tigarius. Again, he continues his downward trend. Well, I guess he did trend up a little bit last week, but then he trended back down this week, and he is in the last spot, actually tied for 9th with only 3 uses. Again, guys, I just feel like all of these early Ultramarine characters and the characters that you start the game with, like, you're going to see them in the lower tiers, but as we continue to get stronger and continue to push up into these higher tiers, you're going to see less and less uses of the starting characters. Just not that they're not good, but there's better options, and as the whales spend the money on the game, they're going to be less likely to use these characters. So it won't be long until Tigarius is not in the top 10, I'd imagine. Coming in at number 9, tied for number 9, and I just like him a little bit more than Tigarius, is Certus. And we'll see a big reason why Certus has even less uses. Again, he was already kind of on a downward trend as well. Last week he was sitting at 8 with 5 uses. This week he's sitting at tied for 9th with 3 uses. So down a spot, but down, a couple uses. And there's a big reason why, and we'll get to that. Well, there's a certain character. Hint, it's a character that I said at the end of last week that I thought was going to be really important to the meta, and turns out I was correct with that. Some of you probably already know who I'm talking about, but when we get to that character, you'll understand why Certus is kind of falling out. However, the funny thing is, Certus with that character is actually a good combo, so maybe Certus doesn't completely fall off this list for a little bit, because I think there still is a place for him. Alright, coming in at number 8, and this was one I kind of talked about last week that I was surprised with seeing so much use, because I just didn't understand, and it seemed like this week kind of reflected that, and that is coming in at the lowest it's been in all 3 weeks that we've done this, at number 8 with only 4 uses per 25 teams is Boss Golgorts. Boss Golgorts was at number 5 last week with 11 uses, so a major drop off. And again, with this character, guys, I think it was just being used because it was one of the characters that you get access to decently early. Like if you played for a month, you're going to get this character. When you do unlock him, he's going to be at a good level, and I think that's why people were using him. The WOG is interesting, but it doesn't really help you in regular arena. In live arena, yes, it's very useful, but in regular arena, it's not that useful because if you just, a lot of times, again, you're skipping your first turn or you're moving your stuff up to the max threat range of the enemies and letting the enemy stuff come towards you, so you don't really need that extra movement that WOG gives you. And then WOG also doesn't give you control of your characters. They just move mindlessly and attack. And yeah, they get extra damage and stuff with the attack and all that stuff, but I just don't think he really has a spot in regular arena. Again, not talking about live arena. This isn't about live arena. This is about the regular arena in the game. And again, I think this is a character that we will probably see eventually fall out of the top 10 as well, and he definitely, this week at least, was trending way, way downward. Alright, coming in at number 7, so this is where the uses start to kind of go up, because Tigurius Certus only had 3 uses, Boss Golgorts only had 4 uses. Now we get to number 7, and number 7 is Roswitha, coming in with 7 uses. Now last week she was at number 9th with only 4 uses, so we did see a step up with her. Again, guys, we're not going to dive real deep into the character, but basically she's a good counter to the number 1 character in the game, and I think that's the main reason she gets used. Alright, so coming in at number 6 is going to be the only legendary on this list, and continuing to be the only legendary on this list. First week we had 2 legendaries, last week we had only 1, which was Morvenval. And this week she actually saw a bump in uses. Last week she was sitting at, number 7th with 6 uses. This week she's up to number 6 with 8 uses. She's actually tied for 5th with 8 uses. Again, I just think right now, until people get access to like Celestine and what's this guy? Creed. Until people really get access to those ones, I think you're going to continue to see Morvenval be the best legendary for regular arena. Again, I've heard she's awful in live arena, but in regular arena, she's really good. Just brings tons of damage. So not surprised to see her still on the list. Again, her usage was up. All right, coming in at number 5, but it's actually kind of a weak number 5. And he's actually down a spot, was Harkin. This one really surprised me. Harkin kind of fell off this week. Actually, early in the week, early in the week, I was actually scared he would be even further down because my first data point only saw 5 uses of him in out of the top 25. Now, as the week progressed, I saw the uses go back up, and he finished the week and tied for 5th spot with 8 uses. But that is down quite a bit from last week, where he was at 4th position with 15 uses. And this one I just don't understand. I think maybe it's his damage output, because a lot of times he is not a character that goes and one-shot stuff. He does good damage, but it's not enough damage usually to one-shot something. And maybe that's why he's falling off, because it seems like in Arena a lot of the characters, like the better characters, are one-shotting stuff, or they're doing a lot of AoE damage. He doesn't really bring either of those, but I still think he's a solid character. Again, he does everything well. He pierces armor. He'll put good chunks of damage into an armored character. He does multi-hits, so he handles scarabs just fine. And, you know, his active lets him trigger battle fatigue and stuff, and obviously his movement with flight is also gigantic. But I was kind of surprised to see him take a step down a little bit. But all right, moving into number 4, and this is the character that I was hinting at earlier, and with 12 uses, breaking into the top 10, probably into the top 10 to stay for quite a while, is Calendis. She's just a solid character, guys. I predicted last week, at the end of last week, that I thought we were going to see her get used in these top 10s. And obviously, as you can see, I've been working on mine. And, you know, everything I predicted was correct. I will make one, say I was a little bit incorrect here. As you can see, I have mine set up, and you see the crit rate is only 60. It's because how they decided to do the crit rate. Instead of giving you the 35 crit percent damage and then the 35 crit percent damage for 75 total, or 70 total, sorry, math's hard. What they decided to do is add the crit chances together so that, like, you have a 35% chance and then a 35% chance, not just add them completely together and give you that straight 75. So I was a little off on that. So as you can see, mine's sitting at 60 right now. That's because I have 35 there, 35 there, and I have 3% there. That ends up being the 60%. But still, that is a really nice crit percentage. And as you can see, she does solid damage without that, but that crit is just awesome. And then the Overwatch just lets her really eat in Arena. Basically, again, you're going to let your opponent take that first turn. They come in. She shoots something. If she crits, it dies. If she doesn't crit, it still does a giant chunk of damage. And then she goes on her turn and either crits something and wipes something else off the board or finishes off the target that she overwatched first. A lot of times, though, she's going to, you know, at least crit once. So she's going to kill one thing and then put a big chunk of damage into another thing. And just awesome. Also, she's amazing. I know this isn't about Live Arena, but she's really, really good in Live Arena as well. But basically, this is the Certus replacement. And not only that, it goes above and beyond what Certus was bringing you. So, not surprised. So we'll look at her real quick. We kind of already talked about the crit, and really the crit damage and her extremely high chance of critting is what brings her into Arena. But her passive is really good too, which is once per round when she's hit with a melee attack, the attacker immediately takes 2 hits of piercing damage, which is 80% pierce ratio. If the attacker is eliminated, their melee attack is not executed. So sometimes stuff comes and tries to hit her, and then she crits with that, because she can crit with that, and then she just kills something that just tried to melee her, which is amazing. So really good defensive ability. Her fire and reposition isn't as good in regular Arena. I mean, the negative damage that you get from it is nice. So if you don't know what this does, it says you can make a move as normal and attack, and then after she attacks, she may make one more normal movement. So basically, she can move, attack, and then move again. And then the following turn, she takes less damage from ranged attacks. It's still useful, but in Live Arena, it's extremely useful. But again, this isn't about Live Arena. But we did predict her to end up in this top 10 list. Now that everybody has her unlocked and has her at a decent level, was not surprised to see her break into the top 10. She did go all the way up to number 4 with 12 uses, but I actually think she might end up higher than that. And the reason I say that is because at the beginning of the week, people didn't have her unlocked as much, and her uses, every time I looked at the top 25, went up. She continued to go up every time I looked this week. So 4 might not end up being the position she stays in, although it's really hard to break into the top 3 characters because these top 3 characters are still dominating. You'll never guess which 3 they are. But I do think she might become a part of that, where we see the top 3 characters and her, and then one of the other characters. I think the top 3 might become the top 4, where you pretty much see these 4 characters in every build, and then one other character. So coming in at number 3, still hanging on to that 3rd spot, is Aleph Null. Pretty much the same amount of uses this week, just a little bit more. Went from 15 to 17, but still sitting in third place. I did say last week I thought she might continue to go down. She didn't. I still think, like, Scarabs are strong, and that's why she's up here. But once Scarabs either get nerfed or, you know, people just decide they're not as bad as they look, she might trend downwards. But for now, she's staying in the top 10. And, top 3, and is an important character. Coming in at number 2 with 20 uses this week is Commissar Yarrick. Again, not surprised to see him remaining up here. Actually, he dropped down from first to second this week. I'm looking at the wrong side. Okay, yeah, still sitting here. Yarick is sitting at 20 uses compared to 19 uses last week, so up a little bit, but still sitting in that second place. Well, last week he was tied for first, but not surprised to see him there. Everybody knows what he brings to the table, and he will continue to be one of the more dominant characters in Arena, at least for this game. And then coming in at number 1, to no one's surprise, Archimedos, still the best character in PvP, and still really solid in the rest of the game. But the thing that surprised me this week is that his use went up even more. He did finish tied for first last week with 19 uses. This week he had 23 uses. He averaged 23 uses per top 25. That means only 2 teams, pretty much every time I looked at the top 25, were not using him. And again, guys, this is including the whales, the guys that are spending tons of money. They are still rocking this character, so you should definitely continue to build him and rock him, at least until a nerf is handed out. Which I do suspect eventually the summoning stuff is going to get nerfed a little bit, just because of how dominant it is in PvP, but maybe not. And if it doesn't, Archimedos will continue to be that number 1 character, I believe. Just some quick notes. I did mess up a little bit on this video with the total use. So I did say Morven Vol went from 6 uses to 8. Actually went from 4 uses to 8. Just noticed that when I flipped this over, I had the uses a little bit wrong on some of these. So if you guys were following along with the last video and you're like, oh, you said that incorrectly, it's just because I had my page on the wrong side. But I just wanted to say that real quick. But really, nothing else really changed that much. The use was pretty consistent last week. So that was it. So with that, guys, that's going to end this Season 6 Arena report. Let me know in the comments if this video sounded a lot better than my normal ones, and how'd you guys like the mic. And as always, give me a like, subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. If you haven't checked out my last video where I do the Black Legion review, go check that out, because at the end of the video I have how you can enter my 100 subs giveaway. By the way, guys, we are in the 130s now for subs, so I really appreciate that. We continue to move up, but I have that 100 subs video 100 subs giveaway running until, I believe, either Friday or Saturday. You'll have to check the video out with the exact details, but that's going to be running for the rest of this week. So this video is being recorded on Tuesday, so you still have a few days to get over there, comment, subscribe, and all of that. Again, watch that video for those details on how to do that. And with that, guys, as always, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.